this masterclass we're looking at mix bus EQ. Processing the mix bus can form an important part of your mix, and using EQ is probably the most common treatment. That said, when you're mixing a track, you always have the option to make adjustments to component tracks. This should always be your first approach, and is often more fruitful than applying excessive shaping to the overall stereo blend. Nevertheless, there's something quite satisfying about sweetening your overall mix with some EQ, and that's what we'll tackle here. Before we start EQing, it's important to get your mix bus set up. We recommend placing a gain plugin at the start of your chain to help manage levels. EQing the whole mix also requires some comparison with finished mixes or masters. To assist with this, some kind of AB plugin can help. We've stuck ours right at the end, leaving some free slots for other processors. Mix bus EQ is best added after major EQ changes have been made to individual sounds. And although you can place the EQ anywhere you like in the mix chain, a common option is just before your mix bus compressor, if you're using one. It's great to have a mastering style EQ, but many stock EQs can do the job just as well, and that's what we'll use here. Starting with the high frequencies, adding some air or sheen often helps lift our mix. The most obvious choice is a shelving shape, as this will boost the top end and continue to add air into higher frequencies. We've set the frequency to about 9 kHz and boosted a few dB. With the default Q settings, the shape is pretty gentle, though we can adjust this to be even more gentle. In many cases, this is ideal, but you'll see it does lift the upper mid-range as well. If this is not desirable, then try a steeper shape. As we change the Q setting, less of the upper mid-range changes, and at the highest settings, a small dip or undershoot before the boost helps soften the high mids. Of course, we don't have to use a shelf at all. If the upper mids and highs all need something extra, a broad bell shape works very well. We're boosting at 8 kHz, and this lifts our mix, without unnecessarily boosting the very high frequencies. The mid-range of a mix is all important, and if the mix is lacking presence or too aggressive in the mid-range, then a 1 to 2 dB boost or cut can help sort things out. Start by trying a peak shape with broad Q between 1 and 3 kHz. Any major low frequency issues should again be addressed at source, and mix bus EQ used to gently lift or reduce the low end. Much like the high frequency process, choose a shape that works by adjusting the shelf slope or peak width to influence how much the surrounding frequencies are affected. Finally, we can use the mix bus EQ to filter off any excess sub-frequencies, and this should help with other mix bus processing such as compression. In order to do this accurately, you'll need reliable monitoring such as a subwoofer, or be able to interpret a frequency analyzer. Either way, a gentle 12 dB per octave high-pass filter at about 30 Hz is a good starting point.